Hello guys, and welcome back to Making a Brewery episode number 3. Not a lot to update you on, considering I only did a video a few days ago, but I just realised I never mentioned anything about how I'm going to treat my water in the brewery. So just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I'm in the brewery today, just doing a little bit of a clean-up. Brewed a few beers over the last few days. You could call them, I suppose, pilot brews, but they're going to be going into the National Homebrew Championships in Ireland. So I've brewed an Irish Stout, and I need to prep for brewing over the next couple of days. I'm going to do an Irish Red Ale as well. And those two beers, I'm hoping, will be two of the beers that I launched the brewery with. So I'm kind of working on those at the moment. I'm doing a little bit of cleaning, just cleaning this fermenter at the moment, getting it back up to scratch. So the Irish Stout that I've brewed, that will be going into keg soon, and then the Irish Red Ale that I brew tomorrow or the next day will go into that fermenter. But yeah, I just wanted to talk to you briefly about water treatment. So where I am on this property, essentially, we're, as you've seen from the previous two videos, we're quite rural. So our water here is not off a main supply. We're off well water, private well water. So essentially our well digs down into the ground, and it's taking water essentially from underneath the lake, I guess, or just underneath our property, which is really, really close to the lake. So that comes with its own problems as well. When you're taking kind of raw well water out of the ground, it has to be treated, essentially, because sometimes you can have a lot of iron, a lot of manganese in your water, etc., and that can destroy the pipes in your house. So we've had to invest in a system where we have a lot of filtration on our water, which essentially has left us with really good quality water. But let me talk you through that system. I'll just need to move the gimbal first, and then I'll show you the system that we have. So first things first with our water system, what we needed to get done was initially when we moved into this house, we had a little bit of a smell off the water of sulfur. So the initial treatment that we had to get for that is we had to buy this 300 litre tank, and then attached up to that is essentially an air blower which blows air into that tank and aerates the water and essentially gets the smell out of the water. Now, luckily, we don't have that problem anymore, but that was one of the first things we needed to do to treat the water, was just to make sure that there was no sulfury smell off the water when it come up out of the ground. Now, we realised that initially the water was of kind of really hard quality water, and when I'm talking hard, I mean like extremely hard quality. High levels of iron, higher levels of manganese, I think it's pronounced. So we had to get another type of filter into the house. This was all pre-planning for the brewery. This was all just to get some good quality water into the house. So the first type of filter that we had to get in is this one here. It's called a clack filter. I think I'm saying that right, clack filter. And essentially the purpose of that type of filter is to take a lot of the iron and manganese out of the water. Now you can see it's quite a big filtration tank. I know this will kind of follow me down the gimbal, but you can see it's probably about a meter tall, or probably more than a meter tall. It's quite big. So that takes the iron and manganese out of the water. But again, once we got that installed, we had the big tank installed and that filtration system installed, but we were still getting a slight tint of colour off the water. So the next step was to add a carbon filter in there as well. So essentially that's our carbon filter, which kind of takes the last remnants of slight colour out of the water, because when you have a lot of iron in your water, and manganese as well, I don't know which one causes the slight discoloration, but the two of those together work kind of really, really well in taking everything out of the water, stripping all that iron, manganese and any type of colour out of the water, and leaves us with good quality. And then the final part of the jigsaw essentially is this tank in here. So this is comes with all water treatment systems. It's what they call a brine tank. So ultimately it's just full of salt to reduce the hardness in the water as well. I think salt kind of reduces the hardness. So we fill this up every kind of, I don't know, every 6 weeks or so, or 8 weeks, whatever it is, with a bag of 25 kilogram bag of salt in cubes. And then when the system is regenerating itself or cleaning itself, which happens about once every 5 days or so, it kind of brings that salt in through the filtration system just to give it a clean and soften the water ultimately. Now, when we got all this system in initially, it wasn't working perfectly. So luckily, the guy who set it all up, he's tinkered around with it a little bit. So initially, when the system was set up, the water came up out of the well and went into this tank first, which we then aerated to get the smell of sulfur out of there. And then it went back in through the filters and through the 2 different filters and then back into the house. So we had good quality water. Although we still found that it just wasn't working perfectly by bringing the water into this tank first and then going in through the filters. So after about a year or so, we swapped it around ever so slightly. So now the water comes directly up out of the well. It works off a pump coming up out of the well, and it goes directly into the clack filter first of all. It goes in through that filter, then it goes in through the carbon filter, and then it comes across to this big tank. Ultimately, by the time it's gone in through those 2 filters now, we don't get any smell whatsoever off the water. It's perfectly crystal clean. So essentially there's not really much need for this tank anymore, but it's, you know, we just keep it just because it's part of the overall system. But the 2 filters alone, because the water's coming directly into them, that solves the problem ultimately. It takes all the crap out of the water and gives us good quality water into the house. It's clean, it doesn't smell, and you know, it's of good quality for showering, drinking, etc. We do also have an RO system in the water in the house for drinking water, which is remineralized essentially. So it's a 5-stage system, and then the 6th stage of that is putting minerals back into the water, because as far as I understand it, you shouldn't really drink raw RO water because you've stripped all the goodness out of it, so it's not good to drink long term. So you need to add minerals back in there as well. So that's what we have for the house. Now, for the brewery, obviously that level of filtration gives me a good level of base water. However, as a home brewer, I've always used RO water for, well, not always, but over the last 3 or 4 years, I've used RO water for my brews, because it's extremely important that you get your water chemistry right. I'm no expert in water chemistry, but I use Brewfather to give me ideas on what I should add into my water based on the style of beer that I'm brewing. So what I plan to do is, using the good quality water that I'm getting from here, I do also have like this essentially a tap over here with a hose attached to it. So what I plan to do is eventually buy an IBC tank, a 1,000 litre IBC tank. They're like those kind of big tanks you would see on farms that hold water and chemicals. So I'll have a 1,000 litre IBC tank, probably just outside the door. I'm going to run a pipe off that and attach it to a pump, which will then feed into an RO system. And I'm also going to have a hot liquor tank, and the RO system will be filling up the hot liquor tank. And then I'll be taking my water off that into the Braumeister. Ultimately, I don't really need a HLT, but I'm trying to future-proof things and think, if I take water off the HLT, probably a 300 litre HLT tank, and it goes into the Braumeister with RO wire, so 300 litres of, or 200 litres of, 230 litres maybe per recipe of RO water into the Braumeister, and then I start to fill up the HLT again. It potentially will give me the ability to do 2 batches in the one day. Now that depends on the RO system I get and the level the level of output from that RO system. But yeah, that's the initial plan in terms of how I'm going to treat my water. But definitely have to go with an RO system. I just wouldn't trust just kind of leaving it to chance with the beers that I'm brewing. What I've found as a home brewer over the last number of years is when I switched over to RO water and started to treat my water based on the style of beer that I'm brewing, I've just produced much better results. So I'm not going to compromise on that in the brewery. It's a must that I have an RO system. Just give me a second, because this pump is running dry into that fermenter. I'm gonna give that fermenter a bit of a not a caustic wash, but kind of an oxy wash before sanitizing it and getting it ready for beer going into it tomorrow or the next day. So yeah, there's where I am at the moment. Just wanted to give you an update on that. As I said, I did put out a video a couple of days ago, but I realised I hadn't really spoken about water chemistry in that one, or how I'm going to treat my water. So yeah, there's the back door, or the back window of the brewery. We've taken down the greenhouse that was there that was smashed up by the recent storm. So I took that down yesterday, got myself a skip to clean up outside. It would be lovely to be able to keep that view in the brewery, but I think my wife is going to put another polytunnel in there, so it'll probably block the view ever so slightly, but we can enjoy it for the moment. It is a really, really nice view. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. No great kind of... Oh, one other update. Apologies. The power. So I think I spoke on episode 2 about getting power into the garage, and I was looking at options around potentially getting a generator. So did a lot of research on that, on getting a generator in. And on Friday night, I was fully convinced. I spoke to a friend of mine that told him, look, I need 3-phase power. I have my eye on this 3-phase generator. And would it be a good fit? He says, yeah, it seems to be spot on for what you're looking for. So on Friday night, I actually went and bought the generator, the 3-phase generator, and I thought, okay, brilliant. I woke up Saturday morning, had another look at the spec of the Braumeister based on the manual, and realised that the required kilowatts for the Braumeister is 10,000 kilowatts. Essentially, it's 3,000 elements. So a regular house kettle is 3,000 kilowatts. So 3 of those, 3 elements, and plus then your pump and the other little bits and bobs to run the Braumeister. And the generator, which I had just bought the night before, was only a 6,000 kilowatt generator. Even though it was 3-phase, I just thought 3-phase is 3-phase, that'll do the job. But actually 6,000 kilowatt generator was never going to do the job. It wouldn't heat the elements up high enough to get the boil, essentially. So luckily I caught that in time. I was able to cancel the order. I've looked into getting a 10,000 kilowatt generator, but ultimately you're looking at probably 5 or 6 grand. And do I want to spend that amount of money on a generator? Probably not. If I'm going to need 3-phase power, I should probably go down the route of actually getting the proper quote from the ESB and seeing how much it's going to cost me to get regular 3-phase power in here, because 5,000 or 6,000 is a big outlay just for a generator. So yeah, kind of back to square one with the power situation. I would have loved to get that power in so I could play around with the system, learn how to use it, getting all my permissions and legal permissions and all of that type of stuff, just to test out a few recipes and just get used to cleaning the system, etc. So maybe a solution to that might be I might rent a generator, maybe a 10,000 kilowatt generator for a month or so, and play around and get used to the system. So yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. I might do another couple of videos in terms of pilot brewing and give you an idea of the type of beers I'm intending on brewing. I'm trying to get a few beers brewed at the moment so I can enter them into the National Homebrew Championships. I have on tap at the moment, I have, hopefully I can show you this, I've, let me just walk around here ever so slightly. So you can see this barrel here. So this is a 10-litre barrel from the malt miller. Last month I did or over a month ago, 2 months ago, I did an Irish stout, and then I had got this barrel. I put about a litre of bourbon whiskey in the barrel for about a week, sloshed it around, like tipped the barrel every day, and then took the bourbon back out and put the stout in here for a month. And then at the start of January, I think it was, so that was the whole month of December, or was it the whole month of January? I don't know, I've lost my time now. But took it out of the barrel, it's gone into the keg now, so I've kegged it up to a kind of a reasonable level, hoping to enter this beer into the National Homebrew Championships. So hopefully, let me just show you. just give you a quick idea. So lovely kind of head on it at the moment. But what I found when bottling beers or canning beers in the past is, even though the carbonation may be just right in my kegerator, by the time I bottle or can, I lose a bit of carbonation. So I don't know, even though like this is kind of perfectly carbonated for a stout at the moment, not a huge deal of bourbon off that, but there's a little bit of a hint off it. And you can get a hint off it in the taste as well. So it's quite a nice beer. So I'm going to enter that into the National Homebrew Championships, but I think I'm going to carb it up a little bit more before I actually go to bottle it, because I feel if I bottle that now, even though it's perfectly carbed, it would lose more carbonation and then it'll be quite flat. So I've done that one. And then I'm also, if I can grab another glass here somewhere, I've also done a nice IPA, which is somewhat of a clone recipe of Soundwave IPA. And I got that kit off the malt miller, I think. That's not fully carbed up yet. So I've put these on the kegerator both at the same time, carbon at around 12 psi. But whilst the stout is kind of done and ready, the IPA is not just up to the right levels of carbonation just yet, but it smells delicious and it's gorgeous. So you've probably seen, those of you who may be on BrewTube, I'm not drunk already after one sip, BrewTube may have seen my other channel, Clone Brewing. So I'm brewing that beer essentially for Clone Brewing, where it's a channel where I brew clone recipes and compare them to the original. So you can expect a video over on my other channel, Clone Brewing, of a review of this one probably sometime next week or so. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, look, that's all I wanted to say today. Quick update on the brewing water and where I'm at. Really appreciate, I've had loads of subscribers in the past week. I think I'm up near 100 subscribers now, which is amazing. I think I put my first video out about 11 days ago. I've had tons of likes, tons of comments. I really appreciate all of those. It's nice to have those, to know that people are actually watching the channel and they're enjoying the content. So as always, if you've enjoyed this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I hope to see you all back here again. I'll be back with more videos over the coming weeks to chart the journey to making a brewery for Breffni Gale Brewing. Thanks so much and have a great day.